So real quick, I'm gonna be swapping out the radiator on my Jeep. I'm gonna go from the old 1-core radiator, which is that one right there, to this 2-core radiator, which can be the left-hand drive. Sorry, the right-hand drive version of it. I don't know if you can see. This is pretty thick. This is the front. This is what shows at the front. This is the tanks to the fins in comparison to the old radiator. As you can see, it's quite a bit of a difference. The other thing that you also need to know that are different are the locations for the radiator hoses. I'm not keeping mine, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But for those that still want to pass the radiator, their transmission lines through the radiator, they're on the opposite side. So you're gonna have to figure something out or completely eliminate it and add a different transmission cooler. Look for a different option, or find your crafty way to relocate it. But this is what's going in. I'm gonna show a quick glimpse of what it looks like with the ZJ fan clutch. It should be barely enough clearance, but it should still get in there. And that's the space where the transmission elbow is gonna have to be finessed and dealt with in there. It's about the same thing as this side, it's just the opposite. We'll keep fighting with it. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys posted on it. I'm not gonna do a whole install and uninstall removal of the radiator because it's useless. There's a bunch of good videos out there already, but I do want to show you guys what's the radiator, 2-core radiator with a ZJ fan clutch. Okay. I don't know how well you can see it, but I kind of had to trim the fan shroud. You can see the aluminum portion right there of the radiator and the tank right here, and you can see a little bit of a jagged edge from the electric fan shroud. It was necessary to cut it because the pins at the bottom of the radiator, which are these ones right here where the electric fan sits, they don't match up. So this one is missing and this one is further this way. So to get the fan to sit in there, I have to move the fan this way and hold it at three spots, 2 at the top and that 1 at the bottom. So it is necessary to trim the fan shroud here. Doing it little by little helps. Then you connect everything back up. The mechanical fan shroud cannot be placed back in there unless you move the radiator forward about 3/4 of an inch or an inch, but we're not doing that today. And that is a clearance. This is a 2-core radiator and a ZJ fan clutch. Right now I'm working on burping out the system. There's about maybe half an inch of clearance there. Very, very, very tight. The good thing is that we have our motor mounts are all heavy duty polyurethane, so the engine doesn't move. When you accelerate, hear that ZJ fan clutch. Other than that, you must also bleed out the cooling system, or I should say burp it out. Right now the heater's on, it's at max, and that's where it's sitting right now at 210. The other thing, and that is pretty major with this 2-core radiator, is the transmission line cooler. Now I completely eliminated it from going inside the radiator cooler fins, and I made it all external. So this is a Flexolite transmission cooler, or any universal oil cooler I should say. And right now it's temporarily mounted to the grill this way. Later on, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a tubular style and mount it here in between the condenser and the grill, or if I'm gonna leave this here and just let it sit there and float around with these zip ties. These lines, these are 3/8 lines. They go behind that opening and they go back there to the transmission cooler lines. They are no longer crossing over to the driver's side, and this is where you don't want to get too close because the mechanical fan's up there. But yeah, so the lines that go back to the transmission. This is the return and the output line. They get moved. Go to that home. To the transmission cooler and back to the transmission. So I finally separated the two, the coolant and the transmission coolant, or the transmission cooler. Hopefully that'll keep them from heating each other up. You know, that hot transmission fluid running through the same fins as the engine coolant, and the engine coolant heating up the transmission. So hopefully that, not that it was an issue, but you know, you do want to have both of them pretty cool. I mean, not too cool, but cool enough to where they're at a good efficient temperature. Since I also do have a power steering cooler because of these oversized 33s, and soon to go to 35s, I used to have that cooler sitting right here, but because of this whole mod and me wanted to make it as efficient as I can, I have relocated that power steering cooler to the back of that front cross member, which is, let me show you right now. Sitting back here. This is likely to also be a temporary setup. I will eventually get a dual pass and mount it back here, larger, maybe about a 18-inch. And hopefully, whoa, getting some leakage up there. All right, this is why we test things. And it looks like it's from the overflow right here. Yeah, that is pretty hot. I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie, make this a little bit tighter. I'll get back to you guys. I hope it does this good when digits start hitting triple digits here in South Texas. I mean, this is legit South Texas. I'm not talking about San Antonio, South Texas. We'll see, we'll wait up to get up to a highway speed. As you can see, that's still about 30 miles an hour. Not much of a difference. I mean, there is a difference between it sitting right at 210, just idling there, and now running where you get some air moving through that coolant, through that radiator. Alrighty guys, so finally I want to wrap this video up. When I started making the video, or when I first shot the video and swapped out that radiator, it was about the beginning of the summer here in South Texas, and I didn't want to post up the video right away or finish reviewing the video, or you know, working on the video without actually trying or testing this this cooling system setup. So I ran it all summer. It actually did great. I have no complaints with that 2-core radiator. The only thing that I'm thinking about doing is changing this mechanical fan setup and go with the triple fan setup, but I think I want to do it the right way. So as far as moving air, because sometimes you get those kits that on eBay or Amazon that have those 3 cheapo fans, and all they do is make your cooling system worse. They don't fix your cooling system if you have any issues, and they're definitely a downgrade from the mechanical system. So I did find some other ones that kind of do match the rating that of CFM this Jeep needs to cool, which is somewhere around the 6,000 CFM mark. So we're gonna probably go that route, but it's probably gonna be a while before we get there. So as far as having this setup, even without the shroud, and having just this fan like this exposed, and not being able to fully pull air, you know, as it would with the shroud, it does okay. You know, I considered going back to the stock mechanical fan, which I might also do that and try to put that fan shroud back on. Overall, I'm happy with it. 2-core radiator, ZJ fan clutch. Might go back to a stock cooling system or stock clutch fan, and see how that goes. And I'll let you guys know if there's anything that changes. This Jeep ran pretty good. It didn't heat up at all during the summer, even with the triple digits that we run down here, you know, for days at a time. Hot summers. This one finally got its 35s in, so you know, she's running pretty good. You know, needle hardly ever gets above 210, and yes, 210 is the normal operating temperature for this Jeep. A lot of guys think that we're under the misconception that anything below 210 is where this thing's supposed to be at, but the hottest it's gotten is close to that first line after the 210 mark. But most of the time it runs below 210, just that line right there. You turn on the AC and it'll run just a little bit above that 210 mark, which is great for this Jeep. Other than that, you know, there isn't anything bad about that setup. Anyone that's considering having one of these, I say that you should do something like this. Of course, the best thing that you can do is do with a 3-row fan, you know, something Mishimoto or Flexolite or somewhere on those lines, you know, but they also cost a lot of money. And for someone who doesn't have $300-$400 to blow on a cooling system, you know, this is a pretty good way to go. Of course, if you have that kind of money to set up, you know, a $300-$400 radiator, you know, you probably go with the cooling fan system, no problem. if you do have heating or overheating problems, I should say, make sure that all of your cooling systems up to par. Before you try to make any upgrades to this right here. That'll include changing out thermostat, changing out your water pump, making sure your E-fan works, flushing out your system, burping out your system, flushing out your heater core. If this is an old radiator, get a new radiator. A 2-core is a good setup for this. And other things that come into it. Make sure you don't have anything blocking the front of your Jeep. Sometimes these guys set up license plates and lights and winches and everything right here and reduce the airflow to the radiator, and that's one of the other things that causes these things to overheat. So if you're having some kind of issue, if you're trying to upgrade from your stock cooling system to something a little bit better, I think that this is the way to go. Budget minded. I did find this one. This is, I believe it's a Spectra brand. This is just a factory replacement for the right hand XJ. So I found that on eBay. It was about $100 for the radiator shipped to the house, and the rest is just installing it. So if you're doing anything that requires more heat exchange, for example, if you're doing a stroker, maybe some forced induction, or even a V8 swap, I suggest going something bigger than this. This can get rid of some heat, but if you're gonna go that far into upgrading your engine or your engine components, go with something that's better than this. But for the average guy that's looking to get a better cooling system without breaking the bank, this is a good setup to go. So far, no regrets. This thing ran most of the summer, for what you call almost desert-like temperatures here. That's a little bit exaggerated, but you get the point. Anyways, hope this video helps you guys out. If you thought about this, hopefully this helps get a little bit more insight on it. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching.